Live from the Panera Studios, it's the Reading with Robin show, brought to you each week by my friends at Panera Bread, where it's food as it should be. 100% of their food is 100% clean. It's a raw and chilly day in Rhode Island, so it's the perfect day for me to head over to Panera for a bowl of their delicious broccoli and cheddar soup. That's where I'm headed. It comes with a side. You can get chips, an apple, or bread. I should pick the apple. I know I'm going to pick the bread. It's also where I like to stop for my mid-afternoon cup of coffee. It's always fun to run into friends, book clubs, business meetings. I tend to interrupt the business meetings, but when you see friends, what are you going to do? It's your neighborhood Panera. And now I am thrilled to introduce my dear friend and author. She is a dear friend of mine of Reading with Robin, of the Point Street Reading Series. She will be at Point Street Reading Series on her pub day, Tuesday, April 18th. Forks, knives, and spoons will be everywhere. They'll be flying. Leah DeCesare and I met years ago. She was telling me about this book she was thinking of writing. It was quite the cutlery conversation, and now here we are. I don't know how many years later. My copy just arrived. It was an exciting day, and I want you to welcome my dear friend. Welcome to Reading with Robin, Leah DeCesare.
Thanks, Robin. That was awesome.
That was long, right?
Week. It's awesome. Love it.
I can't even, how long ago was it? I know we've talked about this, but I don't, 4 years, 5 years? I don't know.
I've tried to figure it out. I always say 6, but I'm actually not quite sure how long ago it was. But it was a nice morning at Felicia's, and as always, and it started that day, we just didn't stop talking. Hours and hours. And
Leah,
now our coffees have note cards that we have to bring.
That's very. We do. We have note cards. Leah and I are always brainstorming, and I want to thank you. I didn't even give you a proper introduction because we're so close. Leah DeCesare is the author of the nonfiction parenting series, Naked Parenting, which are awesome, based on her work as a doula, early parenting educator, and mom, devoted, awesome mom of 3. I'm editing your bio. You're welcome. Her articles on parenting have appeared in the Huffington Post, International Doula, and The Key, and she writes, teaches volunteers in Rhode Island where she lives with her family, and they're talking cockatiel because why not? And Leah, I mean, you're right. We haven't stopped talking, and it probably was that long ago, but when we sat down, I felt like I had already known you for a long time. So
it felt like that.
It did. Well, and to have this book in my, forget me. So for you, forget about me.
No, I'm thrilled that it's in your hands, Robin.
I know. And I loved your acknowledgments, and thank you for that. And I also was honored to have a blurb included in this book. I just
well, I was honored to have a blurb from you, and yes, you're so dear to me that yeah, and you've just been a cheerleader all along. It's been so much fun, and we've talked about utensils for a few years. And I have to say that Robin already knows this, but I want to share with your listeners that Robin actually has some credit in the book because in one of our brainstorming sessions, you had a lot of great utensils to add. So you've got a lot, but one of them did make it into the book. So when you get to the part about the shrimp fork, that's all I'm going to say. But when you get to the part about the shrimp fork, that was Robin's awesome addition.
It's so fitting, though, really. And I was happy, too. Sometimes the things I come up with are appropriate. Well, they're always appropriate. It just depends on the audience. So you just never know. And on the phone, I'm speaking with author Leah DeCesare. Her brand new novel, her debut, hits the shelves on Tuesday, April 18th. And we're talking a few weeks ahead to really – there's so much that I want to talk to you about what it's like to publish a book and what you thought about what was going to happen and how it's been. It's Forks, Knives, and Spoons, and it can be ordered. So I pre-ordered my copy. The second you posted people could pre-order, I did, and mine arrived the other day, and so did a lot of other people's. People have been posting on Facebook. They've been tagging you. What is that like, Leah, to see that?
I have to tell you that I literally have not stopped smiling. I don't think at all, maybe even in my sleep. I have, if anybody looks into my office, I have been in front of my computer just smiling and grinning. Like, I'm not even a huge Facebook person, but I have been on there and enjoying the comments and people. It's been so touching to have people who are longtime friends, but I haven't seen in a very long time, reach out and say that they've gotten it, just to know that there's that support. And it has just been beyond exciting. It really, it's dream come true.
It's seeing your friends, and I've seen some people with one of your friends was, I think, with a cup of tea or wine, or the tagging. I'm getting tagged in pictures, so I'm seeing, and you're such a smiley person that I can't even admit your face must be killing you from all the smiling if you're smiling extra, because
I'm just laughing. Yeah.
One of the many things I love about you is your enthusiasm and your joy, just that you sort of, you embody that. And Ann Hood, a blurb from Ann Hood on the cover, a story you want to sit and listen to until the very end. And there are countless blurbs from beloved authors on this book, and you must get a copy of Forks, Knives, and Spoons. And best way right now is to go to Amazon, right?
Yeah, they're shipped early, so everybody's like, how come everybody's getting their books already? I thought it wasn't out till April. I'm like, well, technically it's not, but
what happened? What happened, Leah?
I hear that they're notorious for that, so I don't know, but
all right, that's
whatever.
okay. That's all right. The official pub date is April 18th, and very excited to be celebrating this pub day at Point Street Reading Series, and people can go to leahdecesare.com to see where you will be. You have a lot of great things going on, and you mentioned Facebook, so I'll just do this disclaimer. You can find Leah on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on her website, everywhere. I mean, she does not miss a trick, and it's a lot to keep up with. How do you do it all, Leah?
It is. I don't know. I would say I don't. Because I love sleeping too. Like, I make sure I get my 8 hours of sleep. So
of course you do.
Yeah, but I do. I stay up late, and I also I don't watch TV, which I know is so weird, and it's kind of by accident. It's not because I have any moral issue with it. It's simply that we get up from the dinner table. We always have family dinner, and then the kids are now teenagers, and they're doing homework and doing their thing. And I sit back down and I keep working, and it just happens. So all of a sudden it's midnight, and I've had an extra 4 to 5 hours of work after dinner.
And I get what you're saying. It's not like, okay, TV bad. We know that. And I love the shows that I love, and people are always talking about all these great new shows, and I have found the same thing as you. I am just so focused on the Reading with Robin projects and Point Street Reading Series, and trying to read all these amazing books.
And read books, yeah.
So I really don't, I put on something that's on in the background that I don't really pay attention to because I've seen it so many times, and that's my TV. And so when people are sort of talking about all these great series and on Netflix and on everything, I jot it down for one day maybe, we'll say. But, I love...
And the good thing, though, now, I think that the way we can watch TV, so if I do feel like I want to watch something, I use my iPad and I'll get on, abc.com. Is that the show? I think that's the channel. I've been looking at This Is Us, which I'm, still probably 6 episodes behind.
That's but okay. You're not alone in that.
Yeah. I'll just stream something, right? I'll just stream something that I want to watch then and watch a couple episodes, and then I'm good. So, yeah, exactly. I definitely feel like I miss out on pop culture and what's current because of that. But I do love reading, and I feel like it's funny. I've always felt behind in my reading when you're dealing with all the books that are out there published. And then now, as I'm an author and people are sending me all their books early, you've been doing this forever. But for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm behind on the books that aren't even published yet.
I know. It's just like, I think I likened this to somebody the other day. It's like the I Love Lucy episode with the chocolates. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
Just got to take a couple of books and stuff them in your bra. I mean, there's just no other choice. What can you really do?
That.
Yeah.
My bra's not big enough for that.
Well, that's another show. We can do that show next time.
Right.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at all your great events, leahdecesare.com, and you'll see where Leah is, and I'm sure always adding. Plus, your website is gorgeous. I love
Thank you.
The font. Every detail in what you do is always just so spot on, and that's
Thank you.
So evident. You're welcome in the writing and the way you got this story that is set, in the 80s, which is like the greatest time ever. Well, part of it's set in the 80s. And you've so many favorite references, and I know some of the people on Facebook were posting about you really got it right. I felt like I was absolutely, I think I said in the blurb, back in my dorm room, and the music just spinning around in my mind. It's just your engaging storytelling and the love and heart, really, that you put into this elevator story about your book, just so people will know what Forks, Knives, and Spoons is about.
Amy York's father sends her off to college with the advice that there are 3 types of guys, forks, knives, and spoons. So she takes this along with her very skeptical roommate and their college friends, and they test it out through heartbreaks and romances. And along the way, though, they do learn to believe in themselves without tying their value to a man. And that's really the message I want to get out, is that women of all ages, we need to believe in ourselves and value ourselves. So, yeah, it's okay to go looking for Mr. Right and to seek connections and love. I think we all want that, and that's timeless and universal no matter what era it's in. But I think that first and foremost, we need to value ourselves. So that was what I wanted to share with people.
It's a really strong message, and it's always important. It seems like even more so now. And you have children, so the message really works on every level. Be your own person, and then attract whatever it is you'd like to attract. And you really exemplify that in the storyline and weave it in just so beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's so true what you just said. But I appreciate that. Thank you so much, because it's one of those things that this is really, like, you've heard it a million times, that it's your baby, my book baby. And you know, yes. I've reworked this thing and looked at it so many times. I've listened to the audiobook, which will be out in hopefully a couple weeks. But I love the narrator who did that. But, you know, listened to it a million times, I've edited a million times. So you get so close to it that once it's out in the world, it's almost like this, it's a giddy, excited nervousness. So you're like, oh my gosh, are people going to like it? Are people going to like it? Like, is it good? So it's so nice to hear that, you know, to hear that from you. So I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about, because we've been talking about this for so long and in so many different, so many different aspects of what it's like to put a book together, from your research and speaking to other authors and conferences you've attended, and you've really done your homework. And I think as an author, that's something that I don't think people always understand. Authors do, but readers, what goes into this. And it's a lot of authors make it look sort of easy just from what you're seeing on the other side, but really it's a lot of work. And what was anything really that surprised you going into this that you were like, whoa, I didn't see that coming?
Yeah, a whole lot. I thankfully my work, I learned a lot, because my work in progress now, like, I'm approaching so much smarter and so much more differently, but so much different. But anyway, as I came at this, like, so many different and kind of crazy wrong angles. It was first person. It was only one point of view. I had an early structural editor. We went through it, and I ended up bringing Veronica's voice to be equal to Amy's voice. So I had equal time on the page and both of their points of view, and that fixed a whole lot of issues. But yeah, I love fiction writing, and it's so different from nonfiction or blogging, and really creative, and it's like solving a puzzle. So if I came up against something where I was like, I'm not really sure what's happening here, it was a fun challenge to sort of say, well, I'm the one that's got to figure this out. I had a funny experience where one day I was just writing, and they call it the muddy middle. You know, the middle starts to get like, where am I going? I know where the end is. I don't know how to get there. And so I'm just writing, and, it's seeing Amy's on the train, and she's crying, and she feels the seat bump next to her on this very empty train, and somebody sits down next to her. And I vividly remember leaning back on my couch and going, who the hell just sat next to her? Like, I don't even know what's happening.
Oh, wow, that's wild.
I know, and I kept writing, and it ended up being sort of a Santa figure that ended up taking, having a bigger role in the book than I'd ever expected. But it is funny how to solve all those issues, and it was quite an experience, and I feel like I did learn a ton from this first novel, and I think I'll be more efficient in my next one.
Ooh, ... The next one. That's always awesome to hear. And I'm speaking with Leah DeCesare. Her debut novel, Forks, Knives, and Spoons, is kind of out now, officially April 18th. We'll be partying it up at Point Street Reading Series with Leah and her fellow authors. And if you go to Amazon now, you will get the book. So speaking of Amazon, and I have to tease you a little because I know you were fairly addicted to the Amazon situation. Explain what that is like.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So Amazon has some secret algorithms that I think we all try to figure out or beat. But so one day I just was really tickled that, and it's all by categories, and their bestseller status changes hourly. So one day I got on, and I was so thrilled. I'm like, this book isn't out yet, and I'm ranking 618 in a category. So I take to Facebook, and I post a screenshot and say, oh, my gosh, look at this. Won't it be fun that once it's out, maybe I can get to double digits and stuff. Well, all of a sudden that day, people started seeing that and saying, oh, my gosh, I'm going to order it now. I'm going to order it now. And I think it kicked something in that so many people were ordering on the same day or several days. That's my guess. I don't know. But what started happening was later in the day, it was like 303, and then it was 151. And then by the time I went to bed, it was at number 61 in this category. And then I started showing up on the sidebar, and it's listed in the Amazon's hot new releases in this category. It was number 3 for days. So that's been like crazy exciting. Again, grinning. I'm telling you, just grinning in front of my computer the whole last few days. That's all I've been doing.
Well, the word that would aptly describe how I feel for you is a Yiddish word. And I know you're familiar with many. Kvelling. I am kvelling for you. That means I am just so excited, and I'm sort of soaking up all this excitement as your friend and as a reader, and I'm thrilled. You're welcome to share it with Reading with Robin and Point Street Reading Series, which is going to be all over the place. And I want to read, I love all of these blurbs. Christina Alger, who we love, the author of This Was Not the Plan, says, what a warm, wonderful read. I fell in love with Leah DeCesare's wit and her relatable human characters who brought me back to that tender and occasionally heartbreaking time at the very cusp of adulthood. And who doesn't love a coming-of-age novel? The tenacity, really, and the just sticking to and seeing something through and then having this gorgeous product. So you're on Instagram, and I love, people should follow you on Instagram. Is it Leah DeCesare? I don't have it off the top of my head.
It's Leah.DeCesare.
Okay, Leah.DeCesare. I'm glad. And if you go to leahdecesare.com, you can scroll down there and you can find all the links to Leah's social platforms. But Leah.DeCesare, because you have some amazing photos, and it's just so much fun. You're welcome to play with
it. It's a new thing I've gotten on. I was kind of resistant, and I didn't understand it at all, but I really quite like it. It's kind of a fun one. I like that one.
It is. Yeah. You did some great, Leah was just in Africa. You can talk for a second about that, because that's amazing. And you were there for almost 2 weeks, and the photography was amazing, and just sharing the story and having forks, knives, and spoons with you showed up in interesting places.
I had to do that. Yeah, so in a nutshell, we have hosted and sponsored kids from Africa, from Uganda, with the Destiny Africa Children's Choir. And just fell in love with them from literally the first night they stepped foot in our door. I knew that there would be some connection to these kids in this place. So that was in 2013. And then in between there, we ran a fundraiser that raised $82,000, which was
amazing.
A good, it was fantastic. It's so exciting. You were there to support it, and I'm always grateful for that. So that was enough to build a medical center for them. So this year, I was able to go to Uganda, to Kampala, into the Children's Center there, see so many of the kiddos that we've loved and known over the years, and meet lots of new ones. I taught them, they wanted me to teach my naked parenting class. Like, it's not really a class, but teach parenting with the naked parenting book. So I did that, and of course brought forks, knives, and spoons to take some pictures of it out in the wild, so to speak. I took it on safari, and
so cool.
Really,
of course
really
you did.
Fun.
If you're on safari and you have a new book, you take your new book on safari. I just was so excited watching all of that, and then thinking, how in the world does she do it all? Really, it's just incredible to watch. And I think that just the whole journey, there's so many parallels with all of this in terms of a journey. And I'm sure other authors are coming to you, writers, people who want to get their books out there. It sounds a bit cliche, but advice?
I see a lot of parallels and connections always in life, but having been a doula, and that's supporting women through labor and as new moms and new parents, support dads too. I feel like I had a lot of book doulas through this process, and I have just found, I feel like I found my people in other authors, and everybody has been so generous in advice or in just sharing something with, sharing a book. I mean, even Ann Hood, we were sitting at the a writers conference, Robin, you were there, and we were sitting there and at the end of the day having a cocktail, and she was so sweet, and she's like, Leah, tell me about your book. And so I gave her my little spiel, and she's like, well, this, and this. And I was like, holy crap, she's totally right. How did she do that? She hasn't read the book. And I knew. I was like, yep, that was the one problem that was in my gut. I was like, yep, I got to fix that. She picked it out. And then Jackie Michard sits down, and she's like, Leah, tell Jackie about your book. So I tell her. And Jackie's like, oh, well, of course the father has to be older, and then the kid. I was like, oh, my gosh. So the poor mom, I killed the mom off, and I was like, yep, dad's older. And, it all made so much sense. So, how generous of spirit to have these, really seasoned, best-selling, well-respected and loved authors just sharing with this newbie. So I have found that all the way through. So I want to be able to, again, pay it forward and be able to shepherd other new authors through. I'm in a really awesome group on Facebook called 17 Scribes.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
So cool. So it's all authors who are debuting in the year 2017. So new adult and adult fiction. So it's been such an amazing group because we're all going through it together, and those of us kind of in the earlier part of the year are helping the people later as part of the year. We're all reading one another's books and following each other on Goodreads and all the kind of things that really, really matter to authors that I think as a reader we don't always know, that those little thinking stars on Amazon and Goodreads, they really actually matter. So we're really helping each other and supporting one another and answering questions and kind of going through the journey together. So, I hope to be able to be as generous with my experience as so many authors have been to me. I mean, how gracious of these, amazing blurbs from amazing authors. I mean, it's just such an honor. So I want to be able to give that to others as well.
Well, my guess is you will have ample opportunity to do just that. And you're tuned into Reading with Robin. I am chatting with Leah DeCesare, debut novelist. Forks, Knives, and Spoons is her gorgeous new book. And I think that, you will have plenty of opportunity to do just that. And the 17 Scribes, you can find that on Facebook. And I say this at my events, and I posted online. There are so many things. Sometimes authors don't want to ask, and so I do it on their behalf and tell readers that these things, the Goodreads reviews and Amazon reviews and talking up books that you love is a very supportive thing to do. There are, let's face it, many, many books out there, and when we love a book and we want to share it with our friends, short of handing it to somebody, which I've always done, and a lot of people will do.
I've watched you.
No, take my last book, please. I've given them out of my bag. I've mailed them to people. I run into a friend walking a dog, and I'm like, come in the house, come see this book. I do that because I love to do that.
We were at the post office together one day, and I returned a book to you that I had read, and literally Robin turns around to the person standing in front of us. Oh, hi, here, would you like to read this book?
Well, yeah, I forgot that one. That's right. Yeah, I do. I mean,
And then the other day, too, I gave you an early copy. Sorry to interrupt you. Remember you said I gave you an early copy to read. Yeah. And 2 days later, you're like, can I please have another one? I accidentally gave my copy away.
I know, right? How do you do that? I just accidentally, things just happen. And the enthusiasm just oozes, and I just can't help myself. And so I think
love
that's, it
love it.
Thank you. It seems to work. And I think that, in supporting writers that we love and sharing that these are really helpful, seemingly small things, but hugely helpful things to do, like authors' Facebook pages, follow them on Twitter, leave comments, and share the titles. And absolutely Amazon and Goodreads it means a lot. It means everything. So all of these things help. And you're getting the benefit as the reader of this wonderful journey in storytelling. It's a little thing you can do to give back. So please do like the author pages and follow author friends on Twitter and Instagram and on Facebook and all of that. It'll take you 1 second. I'm always tempted, at the beginning of my events, Leah, to just tell everyone to take out their phone and do that. And I try, or I just accost people randomly and say, are you on Facebook? Could you just do me a favor and like all these pages for me, please?
Yeah.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And I'm chatting with Leah DeCesare, author of Forks, Knives, and Spoons. You can get your copy on Amazon now and find her on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. And before I let you go, Leah, because it wouldn't be a show without it, what's a favorite book you've read recently, one that you'd like to share with the Reading with Robin audience?
Okay, good question. I should have totally been ready for that one, too, you'd think, right?
It's the one question no one's ever ready for, and I sometimes will remind authors, I might ask this, because as people should know listening to the Reading with Robin podcast, it's all unscripted. We don't go over anything. It is what it is, and that's what I love about the show. But sometimes I will in an email say, heads up, because it's the one thing that can trip people up, seemingly well-read.
Can sometimes be like, wait, what am I reading right now? I'm reading something. Yeah. So I'm actually one that I'm enjoying right now is the new Terry McMillan book, I Almost Forgot About You. And I'm actually listening to that one. I always kind of have one that I'm listening to and one that I'm reading. Mm-hmm. So the two that I'm reading now, and Terry McMillan is the reader. She's reading it, and I am loving it. So I'm almost done with that and have really enjoyed it. And I'm at the beginning of The Hour of Daydreams by Renee Rutledge, and that is a new one in one of my 17 Scribes groups. So I'm reading that and loving it, very, very beautifully written. And Crystal King wrote The Feast of Sorrows. Yeah, she's a Muse Boston-based Muse teacher. And Feast of Sorrows, a fantastic book about ancient Rome. Totally not what I would ever think I would like. It's not something I would go out and say, oh, this is what would be my style, but I loved it. I thought, again, deliciously written. And if you're a foodie in any way, shape, or form, or like historical fiction, like this is going to be the book. That's out April 25th.
Feast of Sorrows. Yes, I'm very excited about that one because I've been in touch, and I'm glad you reminded me. I think I got to follow up on that one, or somebody needs to follow up with me. So thank you. Feast of Sorrows. Yeah,
it was good.
April 25th. Okay.
25th, I think. Yeah.
See, yep. I knew you could do it, Leah. There's no problem with this.
Pull a book out of my hat. Yeah.
I know. What are you reading now? I know. Well, I also go armed when I'm out and about. I usually have the ones I'm reading at the moment with me, because then I just have to go, right here. This is easy.
Yeah, well, I'm laughing because I'm in my office and looking at my literally, it's 5 feet high stack of my to be reads. And frankly, all the top ones are all things from Point Street Reading Series, because I go and I need to have a monthly budget for books just to have to buy the stuff at Point Street. But so I have a ton of those that are sitting there ready to go.
Well, thank you for supporting Point Street Reading Series and the wonderful Brown Bookstore, because I love working with them. And I've gotten messages from people that are like, you're killing me with this. And I'm like, there's no pressure, buy them or don't. But I know what it's like, because I've left many an event with stacks of books, books for everybody. And it's so important. We want to read books. We want to have these wonderful bookstores around, and there's so many great places and people to support. So it is tricky, and I certainly feel it and do appreciate it. And once again, visit leahdecesare.com for links to all the places that she will be, including in person under her events page, and beginning on April 18th at the Point Street Reading Series. Got a little surprise planned, and I want to thank you for jumping in here today on Reading with Robin, Leah.
Thank you so much for having me. Fun as always, Robin.